Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a 3v3 matchmaker played on the Mapgen. We have, as per usual, Team 1 at the top, Team 2 down at the bottom. I'm gonna introduce players and then say something about some stuff that I probably need to talk about. That's not related to this game specifically, so let's get to this. Now, for the northern team, on their easternmost slot in blue, going Cypern and opening first air, we have Vlad. To the west of that, in dark blue, going Seraphim and opening first land, we have Razor. And to the west of that, in this purple, also going Seraphim and opening first land, we have Darth Russ. Now, for the southern team, on their easternmost slot, in red, we have Cyrilto, going Cypern and opening first land. And then, to the east of that, we have Darth Sand going UEF in Burgundy Red and opening first land as well. And last but not least, in orange, opening first land as Seraphim, we have Red Circle, who apparently has some weird issue with their camera. Now the thing I need to talk about, addressing, well, maybe not quite an elephant in the room yet, though I recently pointed out in a community post. Yeah, I'm currently low on replays, so gonna be less casts for a bit till I get till there are more replays coming up again. I didn't expect that to be an issue when I started, and also not for the last few months, though last weeks I did start to worry about that issue, but not too much as it had worked out till, well, now with the 3 casts a week. But that is of course not always sustainable, since the quality of games can vary strongly, and I'm very much reliant on people sending in replays to in the various channels there are. So for the next bit till I feel comfortable again, going back up to the 3 casts a week that I did put out for, yeah, I think 4 months now, something like that. I am going to stick with just one, so that I can build up a bit of a pile again, hopefully. But yeah, if you would like to send in replays that you think are interesting to watch, there are 2 ways that I will most likely see them. Either just into the comments, which guarantees that I see them, because I actually do read all comments. The heart that I usually put on comments just means I have read them. And if I answer them, then yeah, that just means I thought that that there was something for me to answer. So yeah. And the other way is put it on the in the FAF Discord on the Replays to Cast channel. Probably gonna put a link to that Discord, and well, probably also to the FAF homepage in the description from now on, to just make sure that you guys can actually send stuff in there, because I do check that as well. That is where I usually take my replays from. And yeah. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get back into the game. We have Scout out from Cyrilto, going out for, well, some scouting, some expansion, some factories coming out for Darth Russ, some spam factories now. Same for everyone basically. Air factory going up for Razor, and bunch of power going up for Vlad. Not too surprising, air factories take up a lot of power. Now, currently ACUs for the northern team not pushing out too aggressively, with the exception of Vlad by the looks of it, who is actually going out a bit. Yeah, around this position right here. But generally, not too much ACU aggression. ACU is now also moving out for the southern team. And sneaky drop out from Cyrilto on the western flank, with 4 NGs. That currently have no autos queued up, but if they get some factories or stuff like that, they could be a big nuisance, just threatening the entire area up here, and potentially even the main base of Darth Russ, who's now also getting an air factory. And spamming out bombers by the looks of it. Interesting. Someone also queued up a T2 Air HQ. A Cybrant player. Sadly, that bug did not get fixed yet. I'm sure it will be at some point. I'm not too deep into the actual development part of Valve, so I have of course no clue what is actually causing this, but I am at this point very much certain that the devs are aware of its existence and they are probably doing something about that, or thinking how they can solve that, so things take time, but it's not too disruptive, I hope. And the T2 seems to be coming out from Vlad at 5 minutes roughly, already halfway done. Interesting, not much land aggression coming out from them. They are now starting to build up some spam factories, but very much relying on that ASU to keep the front safe. Though there is currently not much aggression coming out from that circle. The side thingy, or the side drop by Cerrito has been noticed by Dalthras, and there are now units already dispatched to deal with that. A single factory and a raider were finished, but that factory is now dealing with a whole lot of stuff, and a bomber, meaning that that will never finish anything. The bomber will always just end up killing any unit that is tried to be built. And that looks like there's also arty firing onto that summit user, yep. So we shouldn't expect anything else to come out of this, and there goes the factory. And that is that. Mega aggressive push out in the middle from Darth Sand. A bunch of that UEF stuff. Currently just grabbing a few maxes with that ACU. And I just realized I did not talk about Reclaim on the map, or about the map at all. Sorry if I seem a bit disorganized, or more disorganized than usual today. The whole big thing that I had to point out and announce that somewhat disrupt the usual flow of casting that I have. I am very sorry about that, but I felt it was important to point out. As you, my dear viewers, of course, should at least know why there are changes in the rate I upload. It always feels a bit weird for me if content creators just change the upload schedule without any information why that is at any point. I mean, they, of course, no one, it's their decision to not say anything about it, but still. It's something I personally, it's always a bit weird for me, so I personally would try to avoid doing that as much as possible, and will try to keep you guys updated on that. Anyway, that push from Darth Sand is getting in here and killed off. No, it didn't kill off the NG, but it forced it to pull out of there, meaning that it could not finish that max that was started. And that stuff currently seems to be overrunning the stuff of Razor, who is pushing in to get this juicy bit of reclaim, 150. And that will of course be scooped up very quickly, as 150 is not too much in terms of reclaim for to be collected. But that ASU is enough to dissuade those tanks from actually pushing in any more aggressively. Now, the thing I actually wanted to say now, when I got distracted about explaining why I didn't talk about it earlier again, which disrupted me again for some reason. I know, I'm weird with that sometimes. But anyway, map size. We have a 20k base, it is zoomed in a bit, so I suspect 15k. A snowy biome, reclaim already a bunch scooped up. Still around 17k left, and if we look at reclaim numbers, there are around 16k collectively reclaimed, so somewhere around 32k reclaim looking at current numbers. Sounds about right. We have gun going out for Cerrito at the front now. And let's close that down again. And T2 out for Darth Sand, and a bit earlier, didn't talk about it, I saw exactly. Vlad did go for T2 to just certify their position, considering the fact that they did not focus on land and instead went for a more air-heavy build. They do have T2 air now. Now, small skirmish up here at the front. The position of Cerrito being overrun by Dalthras. And they do not seem to have the spam numbers to counter that properly. That is you taking a lot of damage, but rooted to the spot due to having that gun upgrade going on. Forced to cancel at just 3k HP now. I think it was something like 3.5k. But more HP dropping. There's still more spam moving in. However, reinforcements are now closing in to try and defend the ACU, but there's a large amount of Zeus also coming overhead, and there drops the ACU. Defeated by Dalthras. That's our first ejection at around 10 minutes with Cerrito going down. And that's why you need to be careful where you upgrade your commander, because if you just get overrun like that, you're basically doomed. Bunch of riots now built up by Dalthras to reinforce this position in general here. Interesting to see that this 150 Master Rock has not been reclaimed yet. 150 might not seem like much, but it is actually quite nice, since it will definitely help a lot with getting up a T2 max. Though, well, that doesn't seem to be too much of an issue right now for Dalthras, who also inherited the stuff of Cerrito. Dalthras continuing to push in, but the spam army out of Dalthras was enough to take out most of that, and there are now two tanks, no, two Mantis. Mantis are not tanks. They do have the tank icon because they should not be confused with the light assault boats, but they are, in fact, not tanks. They are assault bots, but yeah, now only one Mantis left that is pushing into the back, but one Mantis won't do too much damage. It will do a little bit, but honestly nothing too significant right here. And never mind, there was another Mantis right here that I completely missed. But that is currently not getting too much done, and there's a bunch of Mantis out from Dalthras taking out the Mantis of Dalthras. Well, I mean, rivalry between lords and stuff like that, or I think Darth is also just a lord title, so yes, that does apply. I mean, it's also a Sith title and stuff like that, but anyway, it's nothing new, right? So those two bashing their heads against each other shouldn't be too surprising. Now, Dalthras, by the looks of it, mounting a counteroffensive against Dalthras, who has gone for a large Medusa focus now, which definitely can work out later game if dealing with T2 or even T3 units, but is also very good against stuff like the SU, since RT deals a lot of damage, but the big problem with that is easy to dodge and it's not too great against direct fire units. Nice to see Dalthras to actually reclaim that stuff right here. And currently not too much going on the eastern flank. Let's maybe look at how air's looking there, and we currently have Nothas being built by Red Circle. Any use of that T2 air for flat? And yes, there is. We do see Corsairs being built. Now, big push against Dalthras, who does immediately move in their army and push that commander out of there. Big important thing to say here, that commander does have T2 but no gun, meaning that it does get some additional HP but no additional DPS, making it somewhat useful for combat encounters, being more tanky but not as useful as it would be if there was a gun upgrade on it, as it does not get any, as I already pointed out, additional DPS. Corsairs coming in, trying to snipe, but there are already intis for Dalthras overhead that are taking those out, and also dealing with DT1 bombers. Bunch of intis coming in for Razor, so airfight ensues, but most of the Corsairs did end up dying. That ACU is still down into the red at just over 2.5k HP. More T1 bombers flying overhead, with still one Corsair left. That commander drops below 2k now, at 1300 HP, for just a moment. But there is flag in place, and that will slowly take out both the T1 bombers, the Intis, and the Corsairs. ACU down below 1k, just at 600 by looks of it. Down below 500. After that, Corsair gets a second, gets another pass. But the ACU for Dove Sand does survive by the skin of its teeth. And there's nothing left to attack it. Though saying that, a T2 push is mounting from Razor onto the position of Dove Sand and onto these Triads. Sheet is built to defend that ACU, preventing these Corsairs from actually getting any damage down onto the ACU. But these mobile missile launchers will slowly just whittle down the shield and of course the defenses, which have already died. Dove Sand quickly throwing up some buskills. Definitely also needs to throw up some PD again. But a flag, of course, being a more pressing issue right now with all the air snipes attempted against that ACU. Which is slowly recovering now. Other important thing, T2 Navy has been built by Red Circle, completely missed that. Did not expect any major naval plays on the side pods. There is T1 Navy out for flat that is trying to deal with that, but destroyers, especially the Seraphim ones, very good at dealing with these frigates due to their beam weaponry and their torpedoes. And currently only T1 up here, which won't do too great against that. Though there are some Nanite torpedo launchers now being built up. Problem with those can be ground fired, as they are still above ground, or above the water. The units for Razor do push into the position of Dove Sand in the meantime. Looking back at it, though they do now have access to Titans, which should be quite effective at dealing with T2. And they do end up surviving that. Now, with T3 on the field, there is more T2 of course being built up by Razor, but do they have access to T3? Will we see any Outcomes anytime soon? Well, T3 upgrade on that HQ currently at 1/4 done, so not quite yet. There is however T3 land out for Darth Russ, who has started a Monkey Lord. That may be the first experimental of the game, and who is also currently pushing into the lines of Dove Sand, though there is PD and a small army. With the army pushing in still being only T1, I don't expect that to be too effective. T3 air achieved by Dove Sand. That's definitely a big important thing. Of course T3 land, as we have seen the Titans already, isn't any surprise. T3 air also out for Red Circle, currently building some Wuthos with that. Another push coming in against the ACU of Dove Sand, who was going for shield, but forced to cancel due to all of these Ishibas, which, if they did primary down the ACU, could probably kill that. Though there is a whole bunch of T1 PD right here that is bringing in a lot of damage. But yes, the ACU is not being primaried, instead the forward factory is. And the PD. But that could still be very dangerous, however, Titans now pushing in for Dove Sand, which will definitely prevent too much more damage to be done, or will they? Dove Sand gets a crucial rank of veterancy after going down below 2k, if I saw that correctly. Going down below 2k HP once again. And below 1k once again. But does end up surviving barely. A few T1 bombers trying to come in once again. And back down to around 500 HP for Dove Sand. They really need to be more careful with that ACU. Those were a few too close calls for them. Just saying that. Now there is also T3 air for flat by the looks of it. Not look how there was any tagged air here. And there is currently T3 air coming out or being built up for Razor. And only T2 air out for Darth Russ. However, there is now a cruiser out for Red Circle, bombarding the naval stuff that was attempted to be built up by Vlad, who is now getting up some zappers, but well, those will be enough for now. However, these torpedo launchers, one did already die, and well, if more cruisers come up, then those zappers aren't gonna be sufficient because cruisers are really good at overwhelming TMD. And if there should be battleships coming out at any point in time, then that TMD will be completely useless. Now, land push coming in for Razor, running past these Titans out here from Darth Sand and into what is left of the old firebase right here. But deciding to pull back and running into these Titans, I would definitely say that that is most likely a big mistake, as that trade will go in favor of the Titans, being just tankier and having higher DPS. And those just being almost equal numbers. And yes, the Titans do end up winning that. There are a few more Ishibas reinforcing in, and a few Rhinos out from Vlad trying to help out as well, but once again, those Titans just too strong for that to actually matter. I think it would have been way more effective if those Irshis just continued to push down here. Maybe right here into the back, killing off these Maxes. Maybe killing off the Cypher side base right here. Or maybe from here. And just cause large amounts of damage in the backline. Though by the looks of it, those Rhinos do actually manage to run past. And running into the ACU of Darth Sand, who does not have any defending army right there with them. Though those Titans are catching up, being a bit faster than these Rhinos. Darth Sand now trying to retreat, seeing those Rhinos come in. But those will most likely now be taken out by these Titans and the Whalers flying overhead that are now built up by Darth Sand as well. From that T3 AHQ pointed out earlier. And there go the Rhinos. This, however, could be a much bigger issue. There is now the Monkey Lord finished, and has started pushing. It is now facing the Titans, but Titans not too amazing against the Monkey Lord, as the Titans just don't have the necessary HP pool to effectively deal with the Monkey Lord. However, Whalers coming in, and currently no ASF out for the Northern team, meaning that those can just pour in almost free damage. And there are ASF out for Red Circle and Darth Sand, meaning that yes, they do have full air supremacy, and that Monkey Lord will now just be killed off by these Whalers. There definitely needs to be more AA built up by the Northern team, and there is now a large cloud of flag moving in, which is taking out these gunships, meaning that the Monkey Lord can actually continue pushing. 2 gunships go down, there goes the 3rd one, but there is now also Strat flying over, and some Northers, and the Monkey does end up going down before causing too much damage right there. So that didn't work out. And of course the Strat now flying overhead is also not to be underestimated. A Strat Bomber is a big threat. Vlad going for Strat Bombers of their own, though I don't think they have any ASF. They don't have any fighters or any air except for those Strat Bombers. Okay, they are now building ASF. That's good to see. But that's not too great. And also currently their main base is heavily threatened by that navy, by those cruisers, forcing them to build up Zappers and even some Gunthers in their main base, though what can those Gunthers actually reach? Almost nothing. I'd say that those were probably a massive misinvestment. The other problem being that cruisers can outrange Gunthers, making them, well, not very effective counters. Unless you have TMD defending them from the cruisers, then, and actually place them in range, they're not gonna do too much. But Strike Bomb was now coming in after flat, and that looks like that is going after the ACU, and correct, it is. With D2, that ACU does survive a few bombs, but with the current air situation, I don't expect that ACU to survive this. Second strat is... I could swear there was a second strat, but I guess these ASF did actually manage to shoot that down. And with that, flat does actually survive. Those two ASF did not seem like they were able to shoot that down, I'm confused. Maybe I'm also just wrong. I mean, wouldn't be anything new there, but still a bit surprising for me right now. Now, a big group of both T1 bombers and Corsairs building up for Dark Thrust, so maybe we will see another snipe coming in very soon. And also just Loyalists trying to push in, though pushing in one by one is definitely not a good strategy, as that will just be a giant mass gift. Especially since there are no Persics on the field for Dark Sand that would that just completely shred Loyalists defending that area. And TMD currently sufficient to defend against these cruisers. At least something. Would definitely love to see a bigger aircraft built up by Flat though, as that one T3 air factory is probably not sufficient to deal with their opponents. If we look down here, we have 3 and a 4th, so very soon 4 T3 air factories out for Red Circle. And, okay, currently 1 out for Dark Sand, but still that's 5 T3 air factories for the Southern team. Completely missed that Riser, apparently started to set up a firebase in the old position of Dark Sand. However, that did just get overrun by Dark Sands and Red Circle's combined units. With some defending units of Razor just being completely obliterated. But let's take count of air factories for the northern team. We have 2 T3 air HQs out for Dark Thrust, most likely Misclick, as you don't really see that often. So 3 T3 air factories for for Team 1. 2 more coming up, so that will be somewhat of a bit of counter to Red Circle's air. Another T3 air factory out for Razor, who is also building ASF out of that. So in the long term, I expect the air to be the northern team to outproduce the southern team on air, but that will take some time till that comes into full effect. Airfight starting, and well, both sides lose a few ASF, but I think overall Dark Thrust actually did end up on top of that. At least Red Circle was forced to pull back after just 2 turns, I think. And with that, things slowing down, not much going on. A lot of reclaim right here. Would love to see this reclaim field right here just collected, because if we look at that, and that's 5k mass, that is a few T2 max and a few T3 maxes. Same goes for this reclaim field right here, currently under control of Dark Sand. That's 21k mass, that's an experimental. That could be an experimental for them to, that they could just build up. Well, okay, they are building a Fat Boy, and at least they are reclaiming the micro that was dropped on their doorstep right here. Those are the 2 big reclaim fields that that I should be talking about. There's some stuff up here to be reclaimed, and that would definitely be worth the effort, I think. T2 Navy now finished for flat, as they did manage to build enough sappers to defend, and now just spamming out some Barracuda submarine hunters. Problem with that, Destroyer is very good at dealing with submarine hunters. Destroyers being sort of the counter to submarines of all kinds. Submarine Hunter's very good against T1 subs, but, well, Destroyer's very good against all submarines. Unless you build death stacks, but death stacks are hard to counter with anything, so I wouldn't count that too much. And death stack of Destroyer would also just counter a death stack of submarines. Maglev also being built up by Flat. Now that can also be used quite effectively in the Navy, as a Maglev does have very good torps, and at 110k HP, especially if you submerge it, by moving it far enough into the water, is really hard to kill because torpedo DPS are in general a lot lower than the normal ground firing DPS. Fatboy finished up for Darth Sand. Currently no orders given, but that will most likely be a big deal for the northern team, as if properly escorted, and there is definitely the army to escort that, that is just going to be a massive no man's land created by this fat boy, due to its high range and high rate of fire. It did get scouted by Flat, who is building a bunch of T3 air scouts currently. Well, was building T3 air scouts. And also still has these strats. I'm curious to see how they will end up being used. Riser finishes an experimenter. I suspect that that is a chicken. And a nuke under construction for them, though currently paused. Yes, it was a chicken. Now, with that nuke being built, is there any SMD? Yes, there is SMD out for Red Circle. There is SMD out for Darth Sand, though not on the secondary base that they inherited from Cerrito. And why that is only a secondary base, that is a bunch of eco. Currently 3 T3 maxes, never mind, 4, though I think you could only hit 3 with a nuke. Could be wrong on that. I always have a hard time judging the explosion radius of a nuke. And another monkey load finish for Darth Ras. So Experimental splitting up for the northern team. And I expect that they will be mounting a push very, very soon. And that could definitely cause a lot of damage. Subhunters being tried, Flat trying to use the Subhunters to deal with the navy of Red Circle, though sending them in one by one not very effective, as we can see right here, with 4 submarines already down. Never mind, that's 5. And we can see how quickly those Barracudas actually end up dying to these destroyers. It's definitely important to build up a lot of them if you actually want to use them against destroyers. I would probably think, I think it's probably better call to go for cruisers in this situation, because Cyclone cruisers are very strong as a direct fire unit. And if you just go for cruisers, then their nowadays lack of TMD isn't that big of a deal. Completely missed a Maglev finish by Darth Sand. That will just, that and the combination of bricks and Percy's will just end up taking out this monkey lord right here. And though this chicken is still pushing in, this army primarily T2, with some T1 in there, just getting completely annihilated by these bricks and possibles. The chicken slowly pushes in there, but already taking fire from the fat boy, who is building more Percivals. Nice to see that mobile factory function of the fat boy being utilized. Chicken now also taking fire from the Maglev, getting bombed from the air as well, and it goes down. Now the 5 strats of Flat moving in, going after the AC of Darth Sand, after the Corsairs went in. The personal sheet on that ACU does end up saving that additional 18k HP. But those strats get another pass. There is now another T3 shield right here, but that will most likely drop as well. And okay, there is now, however, flag being built up by Darth Sand and SAMs, which will slowly start to shoot down these Revenants. And they are trying to dodge those very and actually managed to do that quite well. Another shield did go up, and that does provide additional HP, and there go the strat bombers. So Dove Sand surviving yet another strat, or not strat, yet another snipe attempt. Quite well. Now Navy for a red circle going in after Flat's naval production now, and the exact thing that I pointed out a bit earlier with those nanite launchers being those T2 torpedo arrays being above the waterline, meaning that they can be hit by just normal overwater fire, like the beams of the destroyers. It does actually mean that another one of those does go down, though the submarines were sufficient to actually take, in conjunction with those torpedo launchers, take the destroyers out. Meaning that those cruisers are now actually under threat. Or they would be if there wasn't if there weren't more destroyers now being built up and sent in. But definitely not a good situation for Flat currently with this naval, with that naval bombardment coming in. That maglev still under construction, taking its time, but it will be there at some point. However, looking at the way this game is developing, also the economy, we're looking at 1.5k mass income for Team 2 and just 1k for Team 1, meaning that Team 2 is 500 mass ahead, which is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous amount. Flat also not pulling in too much currently with just below 200. And we see the push of the Fat Boy and Maglev against Darth Russ now. The Maglev also being used up front, meaning that that will most likely tank most of the damage. The thing that the Maglev can do very well with its 110k base HP. And now 121k due to veterancy and 25 regen due to that. There's a monkey right here, but well, Maglev and Fatboy together will quickly take out a monkey before that actually gets into firing range. I do hear chicken. Right. There was a chicken built up by Red Circle, and that is now pushing against the firebase that was built up early on by Flat, where we do see a whole bunch of SAMs. However, SAMs don't kill land units. And there's not too much PD. And even if there was, experimentals are really good at taking on PD. Even some larger banks. So that chicken basically pushes in almost unopposed, as there are little to no units currently built up by Flat, just a bunch of bouncers that don't do well against any land units in a straight 1-to-1 fight. Their naval situation also continuing to look bad, as there are more destroyers coming in, which do take out their submarines. Though they do end up taking out one of the destroyers, just for another one to come in. This push continues, one monkey god does go down. Another one is actually built up and got in range of the Maglev. But this one was so close it probably also got into range. Maglev still survives that, now at 2 ranks of veterancy, meaning that it has a whole 50 regen. And continuing to just push. Fat Boy a bit in the back, as it should be, providing long-range fire support. And Soothsayer Foot of Russ most likely about to go down to this push. No, there is a bunch of Tier 3 units, now a bunch of offense and lightning tanks, in the area that try to fend, but not very effectively. A Chicken Alpha Razor is trying to push the Fat Boy and will most likely succeed in that, as the Fat Boy is not very good at dealing with anything that comes close to it. Fat Boy not a prowling unit. And there it goes. The Fat Boy, if I remember correctly, has the lowest HP pool of all experimentals, as it is meant as a long-range fire support unit. And thus, it doesn't really stand a chance against the chicken pushing it. And that chicken is currently just taking out all the reinforcements that were moving in for Darth Sand. There are still a bunch of Percys and bricks right here. But the Maglev did end up going down, but not before taking out the Soothsayer. And now we're looking at 71k reclaim right here. That's a lot. Now, by the looks of it, airfight brewing between Red Circle and Flat. Wait, no, not Flat, Dothras. But, well, no, doesn't look like it's going to happen. Just some posturing. Oh, I did miss the airfight, and... no, I don't see any... well... never mind, some of those do look like ASF wrecks. So there might have been a small air skirmish right there. But a whole bunch more reclaim now on the map than we started out with. Also would love to see this stuff reclaimed, and by the looks of it there are NGs in the area set to reclaim. And a bunch of stuff with attack moves. A bunch of engineers, so that will be reclaimed at some point. Good to see. And there are Zekus sent with attack moves, I guess, to reclaim this. Problem with that, attack move does not work with Zekus or ACUs, as any unit that has actual combat capabilities will just use that the way that any combat capable units do. And Zekus having an actual gun means that they can't use proper attack moves. I'm not sure if factory attack moves work on the Quantum Gateway, but if you just queue it up with the Zekus, you need to use patrol moves. Otherwise they won't reclaim. It's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. No back split up by Darth Sand by the looks of it, currently flying over the base of Darth Russ, who is desperately throwing up more shields, but about to lose a Ion Reactor right here. And actually there are two Novaxes. Did completely miss that due to all that action that happened. Right, yeah, right here in the back, and another one under construction, another one queued up. So by the end of this we'll be looking at 4 Novaxes, which are basically a critical mass, making it really hard to defend against. Also, this ED4 immediately upgrade started to an ED5, which does provide a lot more HP. Only problem with that being that if that shield assisting won't increase the HP, but instead will just, or regen the shield, but instead will bring that upgrade along for a bit. However, as soon as the upgrade finishes, that will be another full HP shield right there. So if you time that correctly, you can basically just double your shield HP pool with that as well. Not a shield queued, but that is not under shield coverage. Something that I have to recommend, and in a situation like this, is that if you start building shields, you should always start building them, building the shields under your already existing shields first. But the explosion does end up taking out the shield and also lowering one of the other ones, and damaging this one. Also damaging the ACU, meaning that took fire for a bit. But more shields now built up, meaning that there will be some more defense. And yeah, more shields now coming up here as well. Now, how is it looking? The sniper bots right here on the side that were just, I guess, moved up a bit to be a nuisance. And sniper bots are very good at being a nuisance. And Maglev deciding to pull back. And now, I think that's a massive mistake. As I pointed out earlier, when that Maglev got started, Maglev actually being a surprisingly good naval unit could most likely kill off this naval factory right here and deal with the current naval situation for Vlad. Bunch of strats coming in, taking out, firing onto the Maglev. Well, now it most likely is no longer, now it doesn't have the HP pool left to actually be effective, to be fair. But earlier it could have done that, I'm pretty sure of that, so probably a big misplay there, but too late for that now. I hear explosions, and yes, shields continue to drop, because no Vex fire, and that's not artillery shell. That was an artillery jet that just landed, and yes, there is now also a hover fan built up by Red Circle, so Southern team now going full on standoff with those Novaxes and now also hover fans. Fourth Novax built up for Darth Sand. The last one currently still not sent out with its build queues, or not build queues with its orders. Any more? Any artillery stuff? Anything like that? No? Not by the looks of it. Well, there is a second half of them over halfway finished already for Red Circle. And that's definitely more standoff. But Darth is currently in a bad situation to deal with anything of that, considering they're, well, currently being besieged by all that standoff technology that RTN does not access. And most likely, yes, now the other two Novax is moving in as well. Any counter RT? No. There is however this nuke, which is now loaded, though not firing. There's an SMD right here, which is not loaded, surprisingly. Though I think that is somewhat new. This one might also be newer as it isn't loaded either, though close to loading. I'm surprised, none of these SMDs are loaded. That is very surprising to me. There's also one up here, that one is actually loaded, okay. Funny, because I'm pretty sure that that one was built up, or that is one of the newer ones. And okay, this one up here is actually loaded. Now, big land fight going on here. Large crowd of whalers, a whole bunch of lightning tanks in the area, and a bunch of flak. 2 megaliths for Darth Sand, and a chicken and a monkey lord for the other side, for the northern team. For their combined forces, with another megalith coming in. Monkey lord did end up going down, and so did the chicken now. Though, never mind, there were 2 chickens, as there's not a lightning storm right here with a chicken. With a chicken rack. And that megalith is taking a lot of fire. There are also a lot of bricks in the area. But there are still a lot of whalers left. And I think all the flak did actually end up dying now. Meaning that that can just pick up what's pick off what's left. Including this megalith. Just taking ridiculous amounts of fire. And the monkey lord that's moving in. And yes, Railers just doing what they do best, dealing a lot of damage. Zekers moving in, though those are just rares. Not sure why they are being sent up to the front. And there goes the megalith. Now Razekus just being completely obliterated. Sad to see, but it does happen. And with that, those whalers just annihilate the attempted land push. Monkey Lord does go down, and now there are just a few bricks left with another megalith coming in for a Darth Sand. Also, did I miss a big airfight, because it looks like the complete air force for the northern team did get obliterated. Flat, seeing the writing on the wall, goes for laser. I suspect that we will see teleport right after that. Darth going for the exact same. Already having finished laser, and teleporter started at 21% but paused. Most likely due to power constraints, as teleporter is a very power intensive upgrade. And power slowing in this situation is, well, it's a very bad idea. The shields are already collapsing as is due to all the Novax's firing. And the artillery. They don't need the power stall they don't need the power stall as well. And by the looks of it, they do currently actually get enough power overflow to somewhat handle this. Okay, they paused. On the other hand, shields failing, and well, okay, shields just popped back on in the nick of time. But not a great situation to be under. And, I mean, this is just a last-ditch effort. Now, laser finished for flat, they are now going for teleporter. And they are definitely power stalling, because stealth shields were offline. Getting up additional pigeons, as you should do. How much e-storage does Darth have? A lot, and that is probably one of the reasons that they can manage to keep the shields on while upgrading teleporter. And that they just have the enough storage to somewhat float the upgrade. Well, not completely float it, but in conjunction with the actual E-production, sustain that. And they finish teleporter, and they are immediately teleporting. Where is it going? Where is it going? Tugboat, by the looks of it, changed the ACU, and it's going right next to Darth Sand. Well, we do see a bunch of stuff here, and those are Triads, and even one Ravager. That's a bunch of tele defense, and that teleport is going right into the double cap max. The tele damage will most likely take out these mass fabs, meaning that there will be some base damage done to the ACU when it gates in, as the teleport does actually cause a lot of damage. And, well, okay, it didn't immediately take those out, but the laser quickly did, and the tier 2 tele defense and that was enough to just kill them off before they could kill off Darth Sand, who was, I believe, also the shielding allowed them to be, that the shield went somewhere like that, so that blocked a bunch of damage. Of course, they had their own shield upgrade, meaning that they did survive that. There was, however, an artillery shell just hitting there, so was counter-arty built up? No, maybe it was friendly firing artillery, because that might have been targeted onto the ACU. There is a Ripper out for flat, though once again, without air superiority, that won't do too much. That nuke, now loaded twice, still not fired. Maybe we'll see that at some point, and big wave of whalers now coming in, taking out what is left of the stuff of Darth Thrust by the looks of it. Also nice to see the double capped mass quantum gateway with these mass fabs. Something I do quite a lot as well, since you get 25 income just from the mass fabs and also mass reduction on the cost of your Zakus, which means that your Zakus, that this construct almost pays for itself mass-wise, or almost is mass neutral in the long term, if you build stuff, while also just increasing your eco due to, well, mass fabs and Zaku production. But gunships come in, try to go after the AC of Race, I think. But without any success by the looks of it, the gunships do end up going down. However, the Sorapa is just being completely overwhelmed by all these ASF. And there are the Novaxes. And more Novaxes coming in. I hear chicken, I don't know where. Ah, right, chicken's right here, which... There might have been some landed aircraft that those were firing, not too sure. But all stuff now just moved into the area, I guess to... I honestly don't know why, because that was a air assault, not a land assault. Why would you move in your land units to that? 3 Hoverflames now actually up for Red Stalker. And I think I missed a tele-snipe. Or an attempted tele-snipe. They also have a nuke launcher now, and have started building a YOLO. But there's a big explosion here, and I completely missed that flat died, so I expect that flat held in here, and looking at all of this, there was sufficient tele defense to just take them out. And the Novaxes do end up taking out the ACU for Razor. Right, with that, Southern team of course wins. Right, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you again in a future cast. Right, I usually do my outro in a different order. Yes. God, I'm just too confused right now, I guess. Yeah, if you enjoyed, leave a like, or don't. I can't force you. But yeah, if you want to be notified when more videos or casts like these do come out, you can always subscribe. It's completely free of charge, and there will be more casts, though, as I pointed out earlier, not with the Forbid now, not with the frequency that they did come out till now. As, once again, don't have many replays to cast currently. And just again, if you do have any that you would like that you want me to look at and consider for casting, you can post them in the comments, you can post them in the FAF Discord on the Replays to Cast channel. I will link that Discord, the FAF Discord server, in the description from now on, just like their actual homepage if you do like what you see with Subcom and want to join us on the Valve client on the multiplayer scene. But yeah, this was also streamed live, as you can see by the message that just popped up from Armed. So link to that, to my Twitch, will also be in the description. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, hope to see you again in the future cast, and till then, bye!